4, solving log exponential equations. These are non-same base equations. So, first of all, we know that we can solve them graphically or algebraically if they have the same base. Now, we can still solve the non-same base ones graphically by going y1, y2, etc. A lot of your diploma, you can also do it at a calculator. If you see something that needs to be graphed, or an equation, graph it, y1, y2. If you want to solve it else exponentially or algebraically, you can also do that. But you can check your answers by graphing. Okay, so checking your answers by graphing is a very good idea if you know how. And we've gone over that stuff, so you need to come see me if you don't have a clue what you're doing yet. Okay, so we are now going to see what we do if we've got non-same basers. So it says the most practical method to solve exponential equations with different bases is to do what we call log both sides of the equations. And then we simplify using log laws. Okay, so the very first thing we're going to do is we see if we can divide anything out. The answer is no. Who knows why? In order to divide things out, you need numbers on both sides without exponents. Do we have that situation? No, we don't. So we can't divide anything out. So the next step we have to do is what we just said, is we're going to write the word log in front of both sides. Okay? So this now is going to become log 4 of x equaling log 12. Then all we have to do is we put our exponent x out of the exponent form. And where's he going to go when I change him? Where does he go? I want to take him out of this position right here. He goes down in front. Good. So I'm going to pull him off the top, and he goes down in front. That's one of our log laws, remember, okay? For the exponential log law. So when we take a look at an equation like this, x goes out in front. Then we're actually going to solve for x. We don't have an x on the right-hand side, so what we're going to do is we're going to use the property we know from solving algebraic equations. So let's take a look at another algebraic equation. If I've got something that looks like this, if I have 2x equals 5 plus x, how am I going to get the x on the right to the left-hand side? What do? You subtract it. You do opposite operations. So I can subtract x to both sides. Okay? And then you solve from there. Next step. What if I had something like this? 3w plus 7 equals, I don't know, 17. How am I going to solve something like that? You need to isolate the w, so what do you do with the 7? Subtract it to take it to the other side. Okay. What if it's sitting side by side? Okay, what if it's sitting side by side? How do I get this w away from that 3? You divide it out. Okay? So that's what we're actually doing, is we're going to be doing situations like this that we've been doing for years, but now we're just got a word log in there, okay? Same processes. Okay, let's erase all this and get started again. Okay, so at this point now, x comes out in front of log 4 equaling log 12. Now this is the situation where I had that 2x equals a number. I want to get x by itself. Right now it's sitting side by side. Side by side means multiply. So how do I get log 4 away from x? You're going to divide it. So we're going to divide both sides by log 4. Okay, we're going to divide both sides by log 4. That gets rid of log 4 on the left-hand side. And then I've isolated x. So now I can actually solve for x. All I've got to do is I have to take log 12 and divide it by log 4. And that's going to give me my answer. And remember, we're rounding 2 decimal places. Now, before you get started on your calculators, you need to remember that the word log is going to automatically open a bracket. So when you're dividing, you've got to close the bracket after 12. Then you can hit enter, or you can hit divide by, but then you've got to put the bottom in brackets. Okay? It's easier if you just solve the top, hit enter, and then divide by the bottom. That's the easier way to do it. Okay, give that a try and round to 2 decimal places. Okay, what did everybody get for an answer on that one? 2 decimal places. You should get 1.79. Okay, what's that? You have to round to 2 decimal places, 100th. So it should be 1.79 is what you should get. 1.79 will be our answer. Okay? All right. Okay, let's take a look at the 7x plus 2 equals 41. Now the first thing I have to do is, there's more than one thing in my exponent, so I need to put it in brackets. So now I'm going to write the word log in front of both. So I've got log of 7 exponent x plus 2 equals log of 41. Now I need to bring my exponent down off the top. Okay? So he's now going to come down and hide in front of log 7. But he needs to be in brackets. Okay? So we're going to have x plus 2 log 7 equals log 41. The next step, because I've got brackets, I need to remove the brackets. How do I remove brackets? I do it by separating them. What I do is I'm going to separate the x and the 2. And they're both connected to log 7. So that means they both get log 7. So this is the way they separate. I'm going to have x hiding in front of log 7, and it's a positive 2, so I'm going to hit plus 2 and write log 7 after the plus 2. Okay? Equals log 41. So this x came down in here, and the 2 came over there, and they each got log 7. Okay? That's how we separate the x from another digit in an exponent. Okay? Now we're back to normal operations where we solve equations. This would be like me saying I've got 3x plus 9 equals 12. I'd have to move the 9 over first. Well, that's what this 2 log 7 is. It doesn't have a variable, doesn't have x, so he's got to move to the right-hand side of the equation. So we do the exact same process as I would do this equation. Take a look, positive 9, I got to subtract 9 to move it. This guy's got a positive 2, what do I got to do to move him? Subtract 2, good. Okay, so let's do exactly that. So we're going to subtract 2 log 7, and we're going to subtract 2 log 7. Now the hint about this is whichever you do, the log 41 started on the right-hand side. So since he started on the right-hand side, he's got to be written first on the right-hand side. You can't write this negative 2 log 7 in front of the log 41. Log 41 originated on that side, so he has to be written first on that side. Okay? All right, that gets rid of our 2 log 7 on the left. Now I rewrite my equation. I'm going to have x log 7 equals log 41 minus 2 log 7. Now I'm down to my last step, like it was before. X is sitting times side by log 7. So how do I get rid of log 7 beside x? You divide it out. Good. So we're going to divide out log 7 to both sides. So that's what x is going to give us as an answer. So that means I'm going to take the right-hand side and solve all that right-hand side. Now again, when you've got more than one thing on the top here that was separated by a negative or a positive sign, you need to make sure that you type it in the top separately from the bottom. So you're going to solve your top, hit enter or equals, then divide by log 7 in the bottom, and then enter. Okay? So everybody give that a try, practice that, and round your 2 decimal places again, please. Here's how we're going to type this in our calculator. What you're going to type in is you're going to hit log, it opens a bracket, you're going to hit 41, close the bracket. Then you hit subtract, not negative, subtract 2 times log 7, close your bracket. Now hit enter. Now do you have to hit the times sign beside log and the 2? No, you don't. Okay, I'm just showing you that that's what's happening. Okay, now then we're going to take our log and divide by log 7. So now we go divide by log 7, enter. Okay, so you should get negative 0.9. Okay, take a look and make sure you follow those steps. Okay, let's take a look at this one. When you take a look at this one, you're going to notice there is x on both sides. I start the exact same way though. So all I've got to do is write the word log in front of both of them. Okay, I've written the word log in front of both. Second step, take the exponent off the exponent and put it in front of the word log. That's our next step. So this 2x is going to come out in front of the word log over here. And again, x plus 5, there's more than one thing, so it must go in brackets. E goes in front of log. Okay? And I rewrite the equation. So I've got x plus 5 in brackets in front of log 4 equals 2x in front of log 25. So that's the first step. That's what you should get when you solve it that way, when you move things around. Now the next step is going to be to split the left-hand side. I've got a bracket and two things in there. I have to split that. So I want x by itself in front of log. Okay, so this guy's going to split. So I'm going to have x in front of log 4 plus 5 in front of log 4. That's where my x and my 5 have come from. Okay, I've split my log. They both get log 4 here. Okay, that's all equal to the right-hand side, which is 2x log 25. Now, on the right-hand side, is there a plus sign or a subtraction sign between the 2x? No, there isn't. So that means we're not going to separate him. Okay, but he has the x. So that means we've got to take all of this to the left-hand side because he's got x. We need x on the left so we can solve for him. Okay? Then we're going to take our 5 log 4, who doesn't have x, we're going to take him to the right-hand side. Okay? So essentially what's happening is they're switching signs. So positive 5 log 4 is going to come to the right-hand side, and he's going to become a negative 5 log 4. The positive 2x log 25 is going to go to the left by making the 2x become a negative 2x log 25. Okay? So let's do those right now. So the x log 4 stays the same. Now I'm bringing over for my right-hand side, I'm going to have a negative 2x log 25. And the right-hand side, I'm going to have negative 5 log 4. Okay, they've switched sides. So the signs in front of them have changed because they switched sides. Now, this process over here, I've got log in both, or sorry, x in both of those. So I need to divide x out. We call it factoring x out. So I'm going to factor x out by dividing all of this by x. Okay? So x is going to go on the front of a bracket. And now I just rewrite this left-hand side without the x in it. So I'm going to have log 4 minus 2 log 25 equals negative 5 log 4. So all I've done is I've taken the x out of the log, and everything else came out. Okay, everything else was written down right beside. Okay, but it's in brackets. Since I have to solve for x, and this is sitting side by side being multiplied, how do I solve for x here now? You divide it out. Yeah, you do. Okay, so we're going to draw a divide line. We're dividing both sides by this. So we're dividing by, in brackets, log 4 minus 2 log 25. Okay, the same thing goes over here. Divide by log 4 minus 2 log 25. Okay? Now, since your bottom's got more than one log word now, as you see, I put the whole bottom in brackets. It has to go in brackets. But now you're going to have multiple brackets, because we also know that the word log opens brackets. So we're going to have our brackets when we start. Then you're going to have the log bracket that opens automatically. You need to close it. Then you have your subtract 2. Log opens a bracket again. You're going to close it. Then you need to close this big green bracket that you opened. So on the end of it over here, it's going to have a double bracket. Okay? So in your calculators, I want you to type in negative 5 log 4, enter, divide by this bottom. Yes, you need the brackets. Give it a try. So here's the calculator steps. I'm typing in negative 5 log 4, and I'm hitting enter. Then I'm going to divide by, open bracket, log 4, close my bracket, subtract 2 log 25, and I put my double bracket. Okay, hit enter, and you should get an answer of 1.37. We want 2 decimal places, 1.37. Give that a try. Did everybody practice that and get the correct answer? Here's another example, but now I've got a number in front of the base with x. With the number in front of base with x, if there was a number on the right-hand side that also didn't have a variable as an exponent, I could divide it out, but it doesn't. The guy on the right-hand side has an exponent, so I can't divide out the 3. So I have to write it as a log law and split them. Okay? So this is how we're going to write this sucker down. Follow along. So we're just again going to write the word log in front of both. And it's our first step. Write the word log in front of both. Then you take your x and move it to the front. Over here we got more than one thing in our exponent, so he's got to go in brackets. And then we move him in front. And now let's rewrite our statement here. So my log equation looks like this now. I've got my variable x in front of log 3 times 2 equals, in brackets, I've got my x minus 2 now in front of log 6. Okay, that's what our first step looks like. Now, when I know things have been sitting here side by side, what's that actually meaning? It's meaning multiplied. So that means it was 2 separate logs, and if I want to separate them, what do I have to put in between them? A plus sign. Because if you remember our log laws over here show us that if it's being multiplied, to split them, I write log with our base on both of them, same base, same log, and then I put a plus sign between them to separate them. So this guy's going to separate. So I'm going to have x log 3 plus log 2 oh, sorry, the x goes with the log 2. How come? I'm going to put the 2 and the 3 in different spots. Who knows why? Good. The exponent's on the 2, so that means the x has to go in front of log 2. Okay? Then on the right-hand side, we're going to split the right-hand side. So we're going to have x log 6 minus 2 log 6. Okay, so that's what it's going to look like now. So our next step, we're moving things around. So this x is going to move to the left-hand side by subtracting x log 6. So I'm going to subtract x log 6 over here. Then I need to get rid of log 3 because he doesn't have an x. So I'm going to subtract log 3 on the left, and I'm going to subtract log 3 on the right. Now when I rewrite this, I have to rewrite it in a specific order. The order it's going to go in is whoever originated on the left or whoever originated on the right that didn't move, it has to be written first on that side. So if I take a look at the left-hand side here, my x log 2 originates over here. So he has to be written first. So I'm going to have x log 2 being written first. Then my negative or minus x log 6 gets written after him. Now I can write down my negative x log 6 beside him. Okay? On the right-hand side of my equal sign now, the negative 2 log 6, my negative 2 log 6 right here originated on that side. He started there, so he's got to be first on that side. Then I put the negative log 3 after him. So minus log 3, he goes after. Okay? Now at this step, this is where I got to factor out x on the left. I need x by himself in front of a bracket. So I divide all this by x. So I factor x out and open a bracket. and I write down the left-hand side without x in it. So that means I'm going to write log 2 without the x, and I'm going to write log 6 without the x. So minus log 6, because the x came out in front. On the right-hand side, you just follow along and write him left to right the way you see him. He hasn't changed at all now. Minus 2 log 6 minus log 3. My very final step, I need to isolate x. So how do I get x by himself on the left? Divide by what's sitting beside him. Okay, I've got that big bracket of logs sitting beside x. So I have to divide it out to both sides. So I'm going to divide both sides now by log 2 minus log 6, and it must be in brackets. So I'm dividing the right-hand side by log 2 minus log 6. Okay? So x is equal to this expression. Sometimes when you're doing exams, or sometimes in the diploma, they've got a log or an equation solved like this, but they don't always solve it right to the answer as a decimal. What they'll do is they'll show this is a possible simplification, meaning it's one of the steps in the way to solve it. Which step is correct? Okay? So sometimes they don't solve it completely for you. Sometimes you just have to be able to do all the steps to see which steps are correct. Because they're usually going to show you a couple steps that aren't, and then one step, of course, will be correct. Okay? And I see that quite often on the diploma. So, the left-hand side now, those cancel out. I get x by himself, and I'm going to divide on my right-hand side. Everybody divide the right-hand side out, please. Use the brackets on the bottom. And don't forget, it's going to open a bracket in front of 2. You got to close it. It's going to open a bracket in front of 6. You got to close it, and then you're going to close the other bracket. So you're double bracketed on the end. Okay, don't forget that. Round to 2 decimal places. Give it a try. So our solution should be 4.26. Okay, there's our solution. Again, it's rounded to 2 decimal places. Okay. Now we're going to learn how to do the same thing with base E. So to solve these guys, since base E uses ln. So now instead of writing the log word, I'm going to write ln on both sides. Now what do you notice on this equation right here? What do you notice about that? What do you notice about the equation? There's a 9. There's a 9 on the end of it. It's saying, here's an exponential equation, all plus 9. Okay, so what do I have to do with that 9? I need to take it to the right. Okay, he can't stay where he's at. So the first step I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 9 to both sides. And that's my very first step. So I rewrite my equation, and I'm going to have 7 e exponent negative 2x equals 3. Now, does the left-hand side have an exponent? No, it doesn't. So what am I able to do at this step now? I need to get rid of that 7 because it doesn't have an exponent. So how do I get rid of the 7? You divide it out. And I can divide them out because the guy on the right does not have an exponent. So I'm going to divide both sides by 7. Okay? The right-hand side, we're not going to change it to a decimal. We're just going to put it in fractions as a fraction. In brackets as a fraction. That was a tongue twister. Okay, so we have e to the negative 2x equals 3 over 7. Okay, that's how I write that. Now we're at the step where we can actually solve this equation. What are we going to do to solve it? Instead of writing the word log, I'm going to write ln. Good. So I'm going to stick ln in front of both. Okay, there's ln, there's ln. Then I do the exact same thing. The exponent has to come off the top, and he goes in front. So this whole exponent is going to come off the top and go in front. So I'm going to have a negative 2x ln e equaling ln 3 over 7. Now, what do we know about ln e? It's the same thing as this. If I've got log 10, and there's a hidden exponent 1 on that. What do I know about this? What's hiding in my base? It's base 10. So when it's written like this, I can cancel my argument in my base, my answer is the exponent. So in this case, I don't even actually have to take it off the front. Okay? We could have just done this, because it's base E. Same base and the argument, you can cancel them. So we're just going to disappear here now, on the left. So all you've got on the left now is negative 2x equals ln 3 over 7. Okay? Same properties. So let's rewrite this. Negative 2x equals ln 3 over 7. And now I solve the equation like normal by getting rid of what's in front of x. How do I get rid of what's in front of x? You divide it out. How come? Because he's sitting beside him, which means multiply. So I'm going to divide out both sides, negative 2. Okay? Now, they may not actually answer it in a diploma question. They might just say, which is a possible answer that will help you solve this? Well, this is our simplification. But that can be written another way. It can be written, what number is hiding in front of the word ln? It's a hiding 1, isn't it? Well, what I can do is I can put this negative 2 under the 1 and make it a fraction in front of ln. So this can also be written as this. 4 negative a half ln 3 over 7. So it can be written both ways. So whatever's underneath the word ln, or whatever's on the bottom of it, you can, if it's in its final step, and they don't want you to solve it, they just want you to simplify, we would simplify it. It could look like this, with the negative 2 underneath, or you bring the negative 2 to the side and put the 1 on top. Now remember, the negative sign, if you put it on the side, it's going to float to the top number, so it's going to float to that 1. That's why the negative's with the 1 and not the 2 now. Okay? That's how you do that. All right, now actually solve it. Give me a decimal for that. 2 decimal places, please. Okay, it wanted an answer in 3 decimal places. So our answer to 3 decimal places for all of this is going to give us 0.424. You can barely see that. 0.424 is what we get for an answer. Make sure you get that on your calculator. If not, raise your hand and I'll come help you, because you need to be able to write that in your calculator properly. Okay, let's try these two together. Again, first thing you're going to do is write the word ln in front. Why am I writing ln and not log? Because you've got a base E. Okay, if you don't see the letter E, you always write log. The minute I see the letter E, I'm writing ln. Now, what do I know about my left-hand side now? It's going to cancel, isn't it? Because I've got a hidden base E there. So that means my base and argument are going to cancel, and my x comes down as my exponent answer here. And that's going to equal to ln 7. So that's my actual answer for that. X equals ln 7. So now type in your calculator ln 7 and round it to a couple decimal places. Okay, so this is going to give us 1.95. Okay, the one on the right here. This question is exactly like the question we did just before we did the ln 7 question. So everybody try this one on your own. Push pause now and play when you're ready. Okay, first step, you're going to subtract 4 to both sides. I'm going to get 6e negative 4, x equals 15. Now I can't ln both sides yet, because you've got a digit in front of the e. And remember, when we ln both sides, we get rid of e. So we can't get rid of the e until the 6 is gone. So that means my next step is dividing the 6 out to both sides. Okay, I get rid of 6 first. Now I can ln both sides. I put the word ln in front. But the right-hand side is a fraction, so now it's got to go in brackets. Okay? So I'm going to have ln e negative 4x equals ln 15 over 6. At this step, now I can cancel my ln e. Because of my base e, I can cancel it. I get negative 4x equals ln 15 over 6. My last step is to get rid of what's in front of x. How do I do that? Divide it out. So I divide out both sides by -4. So that's what you type in. So you're going to type in ln, it opens the bracket automatically, 15 divided by 6, close your bracket, divide by -4, enter. Okay? It's going to give you -0.23. Okay? This concludes lesson 1-4. I am going to now give the answers to the student practice section, and you've got the rest of the time to practice. Oh, no, let's make sure and try these. Okay, so we've got, this guy's going to give us I changed a couple numbers here. This is actually going to be +3, and this is actually going to be a +6. This is the same question we did earlier. So this changes actually to a +3 there. And we get x equals 15.64. Here we're going to get x equals -2.78. That concludes lesson 1-4.